hopefully everyone can see this. It should be Celigo on my home dashboard. This is really where we can see, manage, maintain, create all the integrations into and out of our tech stack. So as it relates to a process like quote to cash, we've got a lot of pre-built integrations. So these integration apps, as we call them, are essentially modules that sit on top of our platform. And the idea around them is really to help automate some of the common use cases that we tend to see within some of these applications. So as an example, we'll really kind of dive into the world of a CRM-ERP type of integration with Salesforce and NetSuite. So as I drill into this, what we'll have lined up for you are all the different integrations that we have within these two apps. So that's going to be syncing customer information between those two systems, and that's going to be a sync that happens in both directions. So you can make changes, you can create new records in either system, and then the other will get that newly updated or created information, and that's going to happen in real time. So we're able to see all that information as it's changing, as it's moving around. And it also just helps reduce license spend for users. You don't have to have users that have multiple licenses to log into two different apps to do the same sort of thing. All the visibility is going to be there. We also have the ability to automate some of the pieces around opportunities. So within the world of Salesforce, if you're used to that, you probably know that opportunities tend to be, they can be very complex, especially depending on the way that they're built, depending on business and the industry and your process. Now, what we've automated within this is the transfer of those opportunities into your ERP to help drive that billing motion. So that's something that a lot of times is a very manual effort to go in, download a report that contains all the opportunity information, import that manually into your ERP so that finance and accounting can then drive your billing off of that opportunity information. So what our tool does here at Celigo, we'll go ahead and take that opportunity and create something like a sales order inside of NetSuite. And again, that's what's going to drive your billing. It's going to drive your revenue recognition, everything that your finance and accounting team would need in order to help drive that process, invoice your customers, and then ultimately get that cash in the door and apply it against that open AR. So really automating a lot of the workflows contained around that. So not only are we going to move your master data, like your customer information, your contact information, but also the actual transaction data sets like opportunities from Salesforce into NetSuite. In addition to opportunities, you might be thinking, oh, well, in Salesforce, we use orders. Maybe you have something like CPQ. We can definitely accommodate that as well and move that order data out of Salesforce and into your NetSuite ERP as well. And what we're talking about here is specific to Salesforce and NetSuite, but if you really think about any other apps that you might have, any other type of CRM or any other type of ERP, these process flows tend to be very static. They're very standard in terms of what we're moving from one to the other. So you're always going to be moving customer information from your CRM to an ERP. You're always going to be moving contact information, and then ultimately that transaction data sets as deals close and your reps are coming in there and driving new business opportunities. We're going to be moving that into your ERP and driving that billing motion for you. Another piece of what we'll add in here will also be related to items and products. So making sure the things that actually make up those opportunities, right, are going to be in sync between the two systems. And then a really big fundamental piece of this whole quote to cash process is being able to tie it all together. So being able to pass over the financial information from your ERP back into your CRM. So this ultimately is giving visibility to that sales team who, once they pass that opportunity information into NetSuite, a lot of times without integration, they don't really know what's going on. It's kind of just lost in the wind and no one really knows what's going on besides someone that's maybe in NetSuite or in your ERP that would be working those transactions going forward. With Celigo, what we do is bring that information back to the sales rep so they can see customer financial information. So this is related to balance details. So days overdue, unbilled orders, overdue balances, all that information that would be captured on a customer record. We pull that information into the Salesforce account level. And then we also sync over the actual transactions that make up that balance information. So that can be invoices, could be payments, could be credits, cash sales, refunds, deposits. It's pretty much the whole gamut of AR transactions in your NetSuite ERP. We can then move back into Salesforce. And again, this idea and these processes Although, again, we are talking about Salesforce and NetSuite, are very applicable across many different applications. It's really just about, for us here at Celigo, understanding what data needs to be moved from where, how we're going to get it, and how often we're going to move it. Now, from the perspective of something like Salesforce, I can also give you some insight into what that looks like in that Salesforce account to, again, just paint that picture of visibility for what it would look like in a day-to-day sort of life. So if I look in Salesforce at my account level, I can see as I scroll down, balance information. So again, these are all fields and data points that are maintained by your ERP that we're syncing back into Salesforce. So you can run some really nice reports looking at these fields and drive notifications and Slack messages and things along those lines from Salesforce, just from these fields that are added into your account. And these fields are added automatically, actually, as part of a package install. So the time to value of this pre-built integration is really a very key component of why a lot of companies choose Celigo for this type of integration around quote to cash, is just simply the time to value. Just being able to install it, get the fields ready, map those up, and then be able to start processing transactions. In addition to that balance information, I mentioned the transactions that make up that balance. So we have a custom record here inside of Salesforce called NetSuite Financials. And really, it's kind of like an umbrella record that we use to then bring over all that detail. So we have credit memos here, we have invoices, we have payments, all of their corresponding statuses. And it's up to you in terms of the level of detail you want to bring over. If you don't want to bring over any of these transactions, you don't have to. If you only want to bring over invoices or payments, or you want to bring them all, again, that's all up to you. We give you the power to choose that and give you the autonomy to make those decisions as your business scales, grows, and changes. Now, if I drill into something like an invoice, what we can see here, I would say it's pretty high level details, but this is, again, just giving your team that's working out of your CRM visibility. Hey, what's going on in the ERP? And it's not going to require that they need to go out, purchase a license. They don't need to reach out to someone that might be in NetSuite and bother them and ping them just to get information around, hey, what's the status of that invoice? Has that customer paid it yet? All of that's going to be synced over into Salesforce. And if I want, I can actually see the invoice PDF generated out of, in this case, NetSuite inside of Salesforce. So again, just really bringing all that data to their fingertips without them having to hop around. And if I look from a perspective of an opportunity, as I mentioned, the opportunity passes into your ERP, drives your billing. Here's where we can see an opportunity goes and gets closed won. We can see the quote related to it. We can see an order that's generated off of it. And then I can ultimately tie out the invoice that was created in NetSuite from this Salesforce opportunity. And I can even tie over the payment that was applied against that invoice. So you're really getting a full quote to cash lifecycle view within one screen in Salesforce, right at your fingertips. Again, not going to require you logging in anywhere else, not going to require pinging someone else. And then again, you can run some really nice reports that say, hey, give me all of these opportunities where there is an invoice with a status of paid in full related to it. So these are just some of the standard things you can use with Salesforce to help close that gap in terms of the visibility, the reporting, and ultimately the actual automation around the transactions that help drive revenue for your business. All righty. So with that, Michael, I'll pass it back to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. That was awesome.